Next on Worcester News tonight, the Worcester Tech football season is cut short. Administrators are investigating allegations of hazing. Plus, blocking traffic in both directions. A school bus driver takes matters into their own hands. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. Heavy rain heading into the area this evening, and if you're heading out tonight, you'll want to take it slow. Meteorologist Tim Kelly joins us with what you can expect.
Yeah, the wind came in off the ocean. We had a little blue sky, then the clouds came in from both directions. Clouds coming in from the west, clouds coming in from the east, and it is a stormy night, a flood watch in effect. I think flash flooding is a lock tonight because there's so much rain in such a short time. The rain between 7 and 8 goes from light to heavy, and then at midnight there can even be a thunderstorm, drenching rain driving around tonight after, say, 9 p.m. Really need the patience. It's not the kind of night you really want to be driving too far tonight. And it's rain all directions. Temperatures in the lower 40s, so it's cold outside. Although on Cape Cod, the wind is going to come in from the south, and the temperature is going to jump to the 50s. And that kind of wind, where the wind comes in from both directions, is the low pressure system going by. By 7 a.m., the rain has pretty much shut off. There's a shower there south off in Martha's Vineyard. Here we are between 42 and 45 degrees, snowing in the mountains of northern New Hampshire. Just warm enough that it's rain for us. Now, there's going to be sort of a squall coming through tomorrow afternoon at about lunchtime or so. The wind is really going to start to crank up again, so there'll be a lull in the wind late tonight. And then tomorrow afternoon, temperature starts the afternoon 40 to 50 from Worcester to Boston. Then it goes down into the 30s, and there can be a shower or a snow flurry tomorrow afternoon. We'll come back with a bright Sunday and 10-day in a few minutes.
We're learning new details tonight about Worcester Technical High School's varsity and junior varsity football teams whose seasons were cut short. As we first told you last night, the district's athletic director says serious safety concerns are being investigated. Our Roslyn Flaherty joins us live now to explain. Roslyn?
Olivia, Worcester Technical High School's football team was set to play against David Prouty tonight, but their season is over, ending abruptly after the superintendent says serious allegations of hazing incidents were reported. Superintendent Maureen Benenda and school safety liaison Rob Pizzella say the incidents were brought to the school's attention on Tuesday when a guardian of a student came forward. Benenda says the incidents were not racially motivated. She didn't get into detail about what exactly occurred, but does say unsafe things were happening in the locker room over the course of the entire season. The school has opened an investigation and did call a meeting with police, parents, and the district attorney's office Thursday night. Pizzella says if any student is found to have violated the code of conduct, they could face long-term suspension. There was also a video taken of the incident and a guardian brought it to the school's attention. Benenda says they will continue to investigate and will have students participate in anti-hazing programs so this does not happen again. Roslyn Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
DaCosta's Pizza Bakery in Worcester issuing an apology on social media after customers complained about signs posted on the bathroom doors. Angela Georger says earlier this week she saw a picture of Caitlyn Jenner on the women's room and a picture of Caitlyn prior to her transition on the men's room. Upset with what she saw, Georger confronted the server who told her to email the owner.
I was angry. It's difficult to kind of confront bigotry like that and to talk it through. I was really hoping that when I initially brought it to their attention that they would immediately take it down and say that they didn't recognize that it might have been insulting, but they chose not to.
And in a statement on their Facebook page, owner Mark Felicio says, "I thought this was clever and lighthearted attempt at humor. I never meant to hurt anyone, but clearly I was wrong." A Worcester diner is being sued by two separate music groups alleging copyright infringement. Ralph's Rock Diner reportedly does live performances and karaoke of copyrighted music without receiving appropriate licenses. Broadcast Music, Inc. and the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers filed federal lawsuits earlier this week. Both groups say they made the owner of Ralph's aware of the infringement for the past several years. A school bus driver trying to stop traffic is going viral. Pictures show the bus angled diagonally in the road so cars cannot come from either way. Sutton police say while they understand the idea, it could be a violation. Our Gretchen LaRosa explains.
Images of a school bus parked across the road on purpose have caught the attention of many on social media. The pictures, taken by a motorist who was being held up by the roadblock, have opened up a discussion about school bus safety. The Sutton Police Department is getting involved, using the pictures as a teachable moment to remind drivers about the dangers of passing a school bus.
It's a common problem. Obviously, everybody's anxious and in a rush out in the roadways and don't want to get stuck behind or waiting for a school bus to drop off and pick up children. But obviously, it's a very, very big public safety concern and a priority with us.
Police say bus drivers are required to keep their bus to the nearest right side of the road when dropping off and picking up students, but they say student safety comes first.
It's a high priority for public safety, and they need to be very vigilant and be defensive with their operations to try and ensure that everyone's safe.
Parents we spoke to say as long as their children's safety is first, they do not mind the rules of the road being bent.
I would definitely support if a law was to change to allow the bus drivers to pull sideways to keep the kids safe.
I think there should be new rules implemented, new laws, because if people aren't stopping for buses, then either we need more police presence or different laws.
The bus driver could not be reached for comment, but the bus company is standing behind the training they give their drivers, saying the bottom line is making sure kids are safe. Now, police reached out to the bus company, warning its drivers not to do this again or they could face fines. As to the driver who took the photos, they say this could be a violation of the texting while driving law, and they say drivers behind school buses are not exempt from this law. Gretchen LaRosa, Worcester News Tonight.
A vigil tonight in Sturbridge will honor the life of Madeline Burgess and bring awareness to domestic violence. The 28-year-old was found dead in her ex-boyfriend's trunk earlier this year. Our Chandler Walsh joins us now to explain how her family is trying to help other victims of violence. Chandler?
Olivia, the Sturbridge woman's parents say she was a fantastic daughter, sister, and friend, and was always caring for others with a smile on her face. They've set up the Madeline Rose Memorial Foundation to raise money in her honor and help others. On August 9th, Madeline Burgess was murdered by her ex-boyfriend.
3 months since Madeline was taken from us.
Her parents are coping by taking the tragedy and using Madeline's story to increase awareness about domestic violence. They say they never expected it to be what killed their vibrant daughter.
Her eyes, remarkably beautiful, and they just pop right out at you. You know, she's just a very beautiful girl inside and out.
Bill Burgess says Madeline's ex-boyfriend isolated her from family, mentally and physically abusing her. She at one point had an emergency restraining order put into effect.
She dropped the restraining order and just got all of her belongings and said, "That's it, I'm all done." A couple of weeks later, she gets text messages, she gets phone calls.
Madeline was ultimately beaten to death. Police found her body in her ex-boyfriend's trunk on a main highway before he killed himself. Her mom, Cindy Perla, says like most abuse victims, Madeline tried to leave several times.
And several times she went back. And each time it got progressively worse.
The YWCA offers counseling and advocacy for women who are victims of abuse. Supervisor Tara Heward says the most important thing for victims is to remember it's not their fault.
Remember that you can't change anybody else, and there are resources out there.
Madeline's parents are working to increase resources for victims of domestic abuse in southern Worcester County. They're also raising money to open a shelter for women.
We want to call Maddie's house, that people would have a place to go to.
Burgess and Perla are holding a vigil to honor Madeline and other victims of domestic violence on the Sturbridge Common until 8 p.m. tonight. The YWCA is encouraging victims to reach out for help. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Amor, Puerto Rico is teaming up with Clark University to hold a fundraiser supporting continued cleanup efforts in Puerto Rico. The funds collected at the fundraiser tonight will go directly to help fund rebuilding and sustainable projects on the island. Sarai Rivera says with the money Amor Puerto Rico has raised so far, they've been able to fund 4 projects, including repaving a road which has allowed sanitation to enter the community. Rivera says the event is an important reminder Puerto Rico still needs help.
We knew just by history of what happens in places of disaster that it's not something that gets rectified in a week or a month or just even a year, but this was really looking at the long term of rebuilding.
And the event will take place at Clark University tonight, featuring performances, music, and food. Tickets are $15 at the door, $5 for students with a Clark ID. Amalgamated Transit Union Local 22 celebrating its 125th anniversary in Worcester, making it the largest transit local and continuous service internationally. Along with members of the union, local officials, including Mayor Joseph Petty, were in attendance. The mayor read a proclamation honoring the 125 years of service. Business agent Kevin Kefhart says Thursday's event is to remember the union members who came before them.
And people not only in the WRTA, but Northeast Vehicle Services, East Brookfield and Spencer Railroad, and Metro West Regional Transit Authority. So, we're very proud from, being that little local back in, that started with 10 members in 1893 to being where we are today.
And Kefhart says the Amalgamated Transit Union has come a long way from its start in 1892. Today it's comprised of more than 190,000 members in 44 U.S. states, District of Columbia, and in Canada. With Veterans Day coming up this weekend, we're getting a look at film footage from World War I. It has been painstakingly restored for a new movie from Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson. Jackson applied cutting-edge production technology to archival footage, colorizing it and using a computer to recreate missing frames, and lip readers deciphered what the men were saying. Some of the dialogue is recreated, combined with decades-old interviews from real veterans who recall being young and far from home.
It's a story of the human experience of fighting in the war.
Hearing the voices of the people that lived through this conflict, both men who served in the fighting forces, but also women on the home front, people involved in factories, just hearing their voices and in their own words, exploring what they thought and what they felt and what they experienced, I think that really brings it to life.
And Sunday marks 100 years since the end of what is called the Great War and the war to end all wars. The city of Worcester hosting its annual Veterans Day parade this Sunday. It begins at 11 a.m. at the intersection of Lancaster and Grove Streets and will march along Grove to the World War I Memorial in Lincoln Square. Veterans Inc. will also host its annual pancake breakfast before the parade. The city was scheduled to unveil the new World War I Memorial Grove at Green Hill Park, but it was postponed due to construction.